Hello, Gold viewers from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And I'm here today with Nell Tharpe to talk about her upcoming presentation, Physiologic Birth and Social Determinants of Health. Welcome, Nell.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here at Gold Perinatal.
Thank you so much for speaking with me here for our quick chat. And then, of course, the wonderful presentation we're all looking forward to in October for our Perinatal Online Conference. But before we jump into the topic there, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your professional journey. I know you have spoken for us before, but some of our listeners may be not familiar with you. So let them know a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I came to midwifery out of a desire to help women having babies that stemmed from both my own births and my mother's births. So really that was the impetus for getting engaged in maternity care. I truly believe that as women birth, it shapes their lives, it shapes who they are, and it shapes how they respond with their children. And this has become really a cornerstone of how I provide care and how I present all the educational material that I do throughout the course of my work.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And you said something very important there that really resonated with me. You said, as women birth, it shapes their lives and how they interact with their children. That sounds very important. That birth is, one of the most important events in a birthing or in a person's life. So mentioning that really I thought was a very important point, and I think you will be touching on that in your presentation, isn't that right? So if you can tell us a little bit about it without giving too many details, but because we have only limited time here, but just let us know a little bit of what we're looking forward to hearing and learning from you.
So just going back to that same concept that when a person gives birth, they can give birth in a multitude of environments, and the environments and the care they receive, the people that they have around them, the focus on birth as a physiologic function, as a medical event, as a cultural event, as a sacred event, those all impact how birth occurs and how women perceive themselves as a result, or people perceive themselves as a result of having given birth. And it also affects how they respond both to their newborn and potentially the rest of their community at large. It's important because this shapes the world that we live in. We live in a world with so many different conflicts, with so many different problems, with so many opportunities to improve both care and social circumstances, to improve health and the circumstances that affect our health. And birth is a wonderful place to start. Even if we can't make major changes for ourselves at the age that we are, we potentially can change the future by addressing how we care for people who are giving birth and their newborns, and set the stage for a more positive, more loving world.
I loved how you said that. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Just a more loving world and a safer, better place to live.
You worded that so beautifully, and I wanted to say that really sounded beautiful. Birth is a wonderful place to start with that, and you're absolutely right. For us as medical or care providers, we often we deal with birth as a medical event, but it is so much more than just the medical event. Not only for the birthing person, but as you were mentioning here, for the world. It can really influence how we are as a society as well. So I'm really looking forward to learning more from you in this presentation. Before I let you go, Nell, what is it that you'd like our listeners to take away from this presentation?
Well, there's two main concepts that I would like the listeners to take away. The first is that birth fits into a greater context. It affects the child lifelong. It affects relationships lifelong. It is not simply moving the baby from point A to point B. It is something that occurs in the context of community. Um, and that community is what shapes the world. The other piece that I would like the delegates to take away are, how do I help in any birth situation, whether it's a planned home birth in a high resource setting, a usual home birth in a low resource setting, a birth center birth, a hospital birth. Um, the world has so many different places and ways that birth occurs. So what can each individual do to improve outcomes, both physical, social, emotional, and cultural, for every single person that they come in contact with? Because every little piece that is done, whether it's holding someone's hand, making eye contact, encouraging a woman that yes, she can do this, or that yes, this intervention is truly needed, and that every other avenue has been looked at, and that physiologic processes will be supported after the intervention so that she can still optimize outcomes for herself and her baby. The practical details of how do I make this happen are really what's important, because the concept of it is relatively easy to understand, but how do I do it in my day-to-day work is the biggest piece that I would like delegates to take home. Thank you.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to learning that and taking some practical, new practical tips with me into my practice here as well as we move forward. Thank you so much, Nell, for sitting down here with me and speaking about your upcoming presentation.
I really appreciate the opportunity, Kristen, and I'm looking forward to doing the talk at Perinatal Gold.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, Nell's presentation, Physiologic Birth and Social Determinants of Health, is part of the Gold Perinatal Online Conference 2018. Nell will be speaking live on October 9th. And for more information on this presentation and when it's being held in your time zone, please check out goldperinatal.com. Thank you all for listening. Bye bye.